Please welcome co-founder and CEO of Endeavor Global, Linda Rottenberg.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to Endeavor's 13th birthday celebration, or as I've been calling it, our bat mitzvah. As you can imagine, a lot of planning went into this evening. The entertainment, the flowers, the table seating. And in the midst of all this, what did I do on Monday? I went to Dubai for the day. Why? Well, 4 years ago, I co-chaired a World Economic Forum summit in Jordan. I spoke about entrepreneurship, though I was told there was no word in Arabic for entrepreneurship. But after telling our story, including Endeavor's recent launch in Turkey, I heard over and over, we need entrepreneurship here. We need jobs. We need Endeavor. Thanks to local business leaders like Ali Al-Khusri here tonight, Endeavor soon opened offices in Amman and Cairo. Parenthetically, an update on a story about that event. So as the only woman co-chair, I'd been a little bit nervous about what to wear. So I channeled Queen Rania, and I ended up wearing this chiffon outfit I thought looked elegant yet appropriate. A month later, I was wearing the outfit to the friend who sold it to me, and she pushed me into the bathroom. Linda, you're wearing this all wrong. Your head is coming out of the sleeve. So update, when we later launched Endeavor in Jordan, I issued a formal apology for my wardrobe malfunction to His Majesty, King Abdullah. Now back to Dubai. Earlier this year, I met Arif Naqvi, founder of Abraj Capital, the leading private equity firm in the Middle East. Arif told me he'd been looking for a way to give back and concluded that high-impact entrepreneurship was the best route to sustainable development. 3 days ago, in Dubai, Abraj hosted a landmark celebration of entrepreneurship. 2,000 participants signed up. In the 12 hours I was there, I was pulled into passion corners, energy breaks, 1-800 mentor sessions, and impromptu conversations with dozens of aspiring entrepreneurs. And in the heart of this celebration, Endeavor and Abraj took center stage to announce a new strategic alliance, with Abraj Capital pledging an initial $5 million to dramatically accelerate Endeavor's presence in the region. Thank you. It was worth the trip. It was worth the trip. What I just saw firsthand in the Middle East reminded me of what Endeavor saw 5 years ago in South Africa and 13 years ago, as Andy explained, in Latin America. Back then, there was no Spanish or Portuguese word for entrepreneurship. There were few business mentors and no access to venture capital. Endeavor stepped in to bridge these gaps, selecting, mentoring, and supporting not just any entrepreneur, but those who can create hundreds, even thousands of jobs and serve as role models. High-impact entrepreneurs like Mario Suarez Baton, a young gamer from Buenos Aires. With help from our Mentor Capital program, Mariano sold his startup, 3 Melons, to a Silicon Valley firm, Playdom. This July, Disney acquired Playdom, and with it, 3 Melons, for $763 million. Today, Mariano goes around the world telling young people, if I can do it, you can too. As Endeavor has found, it only takes a few of these success stories going viral for a new culture of innovation, risk-taking, and investment to take root. So here we are, 13 years later. No longer seated at the kids' table, we've gone from youthful pioneers to recognized champions of the global high-impact entrepreneurship movement. In other words, we've grown up. But like any other bar or bat mitzvah, we found that coming of age carries responsibility. It's not just a party. So behind closed doors, we've been asking ourselves, what's next for Endeavor? How do we grow while staying true to our roots? For Endeavor's teenage years, we're focused on 3 goals: scaling, impact, sustainability. With scaling, we have great momentum. We're right now opening Endeavor's 11th country office in Lebanon, And our expansion team is building support in Kenya, Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and Peru. And that brings us to impact, our second theme and Endeavor's middle name. Consider Endeavor entrepreneur Ahmed Metwali, co-founder of Timeline Interactive, who produced the world's first downloadable video game in 3D in Cairo. Ahmed is a tech pioneer, but more important, he is providing high-value jobs for many of Egypt's top engineering graduates, preventing brain drain. That's impact. Just today, Endeavor Chile announced the country's major bank set aside an unprecedented $40 million for preferential loans for Endeavor entrepreneurs, matching a program Endeavor pioneered in Turkey earlier this year. That's impact. And in education, 120 case studies about our entrepreneurs were taught this year, and this month, 5 million people are attending global entrepreneurship events hosted by Endeavor. That's impact. And as for sustainability, I've always said that my dream, as Andy so eloquently expressed, is to create an organization of, by, and for entrepreneurs, where eventually we'll be fully funded and run by Endeavor entrepreneurs. And I'm encouraged that 83% are already contributing time, cash, and equity, motivating fellow Endeavor entrepreneurs to join our Give Back program. So the dream is viable, but we know it will take time. So just yesterday, Endeavor's board members worldwide met to discuss our first ever capital campaign. A portion of this campaign will match and leverage Entrepreneur Give Back. So I'm hoping by the time of our Sweet 16, we'll be on our way to sustainability. Now, what would a bat mitzvah be without thank you notes? For starters, I'd like to thank my co-founder, Peter Kellner. Peter was with me in Dubai, and Peter, it was an emotional moment being interviewed for the first time since our early days in South America. And also, I should note that Peter, for tonight, he wanted to make sure we honored properly this fashion meets entrepreneurship theme, so he had the rock star designer, Prabal Gurung, design my dress. So thank you, Peter. Now that Endeavor's growing up, I felt it was time to broaden the leadership team. And I'm thrilled to announce that Fernando Fabre, who for 6 years has been our brilliant managing director in Mexico, will move to New York in February and assume the role of president. Fernando, please wave so we can welcome you. And I want to thank Emilio Escarga, chairman of Endeavor Mexico, for however grudgingly giving his blessing. 2.5 years ago, eBay founder Piero Migliar's foundation took a bet on Endeavor with a $10 million grant, 40% of which was contingent on matching funds. Thanks to all of you, our gala tonight has topped $2 million, and it has enabled Endeavor to receive the full amount of the Migliar match. Thank you. The other week, I was speaking to a group of Yale graduate students, and in the Q&A, one of them said, I see these great board lists, Linda, but be honest, how much time do these very important people spend? And I answered, a lot, and then some. Tonight, we're joined by more than 24 worldwide board members, including our very first board member, Jason Green. And leading by example is our tremendous global board chair, Edgar Bronfman Jr., who dedicates enormous time to Endeavor. Edgar, we could not ask for a more persuasive and passionate chairman. You graciously, yet firmly, push us to do more, better, and with higher impact. Now, last year, Clarissa Bronfman conveniently moved Edgar and their family to London. I'm convinced in part to get away from Endeavor. Yet she too joined us in Jordan and just yesterday spent the day with Endeavor entrepreneurs touring the fashion industry. We love you, Clarissa. And next year we're moving in. Our May selection panel is in London. At the center of our movement are the Endeavor entrepreneurs, 500 of them, and many of them are here tonight. Could the Endeavor entrepreneurs in the room please stand up so we can acknowledge you? As I was flying back from Dubai on Tuesday, I realized the significance of what we're doing. My whole life, I've loved this region. From my first international trip with my parents to Israel in 1984, to a second honeymoon with my husband to Iran in 2004. But in that 20-year span, how many missiles have been launched? How many Camp David summits have been held? How many peace treaties have been signed? The old techniques have failed. We need new tools, mentorship, role models, venture capital, jobs. And it's not just in the Middle East. We see just as much need in places like Jakarta, Hanoi, Nairobi, Lima. And what I believe so passionately is that our work doesn't just benefit these places, it benefits us as well. Just ask the hundreds of American business leaders and MBAs who've worked with Endeavor around the world and gained a unique window into the energy, talent, and pulse of rapidly changing emerging markets. At the heart of Endeavor is this broad network for change that we're creating around the world. And that's where you come in. It's customary for the bar bat mitzvah to mark the occasion alongside members of the community who not only bear witness to the coming of age, but also help the individual reach his or her potential. In other words, we need all of you to help us grow. So just as Endeavor helped emprendedor become the word for entrepreneur in Spanish and in Portuguese, we can help riada become the word for entrepreneur in Arabic. Thank you. So before I step aside, I'm here to introduce a conversation with tonight's honorees from Gilt Group, moderated by our shared board member, Nick Beim. As you all know, Gilt provides access to luxury fashion brands at discount prices. So every day, just before noon, members get an email with the latest deals, then rush to beat people out for their size. Last month, Fortune magazine held its most powerful women's summit in DC. And being a chick conference, the breakouts were held in the spa, and at the opening, all 400 female executives were asked to go around and introduce themselves. The most memorable intro came from tonight's co-honoree, Susan Line, who said, "Hi, I'm the chairwoman of Gilt, where all your employees are at noon." And it's not just Americans. Recently, I asked Endeavor Turkey's board chairman, Özcan Tanjolu, if he was coming tonight to tonight's gala. Absolutely, he said. I have a personal connection with Gilt. That's where my wife spends half our income. We at Endeavor have great affection for the Gilt team. Gilt CEO Kevin Ryan has been one of our most important mentors for Endeavor entrepreneurs. But full disclosure, Gilt and Endeavor do have a healthy competition, namely, who gets more love and attention from Nick Beim. Our love story with Nick began 7 years ago when he joined Endeavor's global board. Nick is a rock star in the New York VC world, a windsurfer, a skier, a great friend. And speaking of love stories, Nick recently got engaged to Piraya Yurtas, who also happens to be Turkish and an entrepreneur. She's our kind of girl. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Beim.